I feel like as I've gotten older, my relationships just aren't as satisfying. Whether it comes to friends, family, they just they don't feel as satisfying anymore. And I think it comes down to the fact that I'm really looking for depth in my relationships. And that's something a lot of people just can't seem to provide, if I'm going to be completely honest. In the past, I've tried to deepen some of my relationships unsuccessfully. And it was something that I initially put all the responsibility on myself, as someone who used to suppress a lot of my emotions and used to be, I guess you could say, emotionally unavailable. I kind of took it upon myself that the reason a lot of my relationships were very shallow, I would say, or unemotional, was because I didn't show that emotion in the past. So I basically created these very shallow relationships. But what I realized after trying to push some of my relationships in a more emotionally intimate, in a deeper direction, was that, similar to myself in the past, a lot of people are just not ready for that sort of connection, that sort of relationship. And if I'm being completely honest, it's something that sucks. Because as I've gotten older, those are the relationships I really value. And that's really what I look for in my relationships with people. Is that connection, that depth. And because of this, I feel like I've kind of become jaded to building new relationships with people. A lot of the time when I will meet someone or talk with someone, talk with a friend, I feel like these are less of conversations and they're more of what I like to call talking at people. It seems that a lot of people aren't really interested in a conversation, in a dynamic where you're exploring each other's ideas, diving deeper into why someone likes this thing, why someone feels this way, why someone thinks this way. Those kind of deeper questions that get more at the core of someone's personality don't really seem to be something a lot of people enjoy talking about. A lot of the conversations I'm a part of, they just feel like the other person wants to kind of say their bit, kind of talk about me, about what they're interested in. And I like hearing what other people are interested in. I try to be very engaged in people's conversations just because that's what I really enjoy myself. And I try to ask questions to them. I try to understand their interests and what they're doing, really just asking follow-up questions, which I think are kind of the bare minimum of a good conversation. But when it comes turn to, say, talk about something I enjoy, I feel like that level of depth just isn't reciprocated. It seems a lot of the time people just have these, I would say, surface level conversations where they're talking about a topic for a bit and then they just expect you to talk about your topic for a bit. And it's just kind of a back and forth where both people are really just talking at each other, but they're not really having a conversation. Like, they're not exploring these ideas. They're more just saying their piece and moving on. And I find this very weird because I don't get satisfaction out of those conversations. To me, they just seem completely dull. Just talking at someone, and you can almost tell. I feel like you can tell when you're kind of just talking at someone and they're not really interested in what you're saying. And I just find those conversations unbearable. And the part that's really hard is I feel like this is what most people deem as regular conversations. Finding people that will actually like dive deeper and ask follow-up questions and be reciprocal in terms of interest in a conversation is something that is surprisingly rare. It's almost as if people don't even like have the concept of diving deeper in a conversation. Almost as if they haven't been given the tools, or they don't understand. And it baffles me because, well, I would say in the past I was a very introverted person, and I wouldn't talk that much. Once you get a taste of those deeper conversations, I don't understand how you could want anything else. When you find someone who you really vibe with, who's both good at talking about themselves and good at being engaged in what you have to say in a conversation, those people are just the most interesting people to talk with. And I don't know, it blows my mind that you'll even find adults. I'm saying that like I'm not an adult. I guess I'm a young adult. I don't even know what's a young adult anymore. But it blows my mind that you'll find people much older than myself who kind of don't seem to understand this concept of having a reciprocal conversation, or having a conversation where they not only take it, or they not only receive interest, but also give it back. And I've had people comment that maybe I take maybe too much of I'll say analytical view in terms of being reciprocal in a conversation. But I feel like this is fundamental to having satisfying, engaging conversations, is where both sides are being reciprocal. Of course, you're not going to have a conversation where both sides are talking an equal amount of time. There's always going to be a difference. But it feels very rare to find people that can actually reciprocate interest. A lot of the time, I will have conversations with people where they'll talk about their thing, and I'll try to be interested in their thing, ask questions about, why do they like the thing? How do they feel about it? What are their opinions on it? Try and get a deeper understanding of who that person is. And we'll talk about their thing for a while, and that's fine. I enjoy engaging with people, understanding who they are at a deeper level. But when the conversation eventually shifts to, say, something I'm interested in or something I want to talk about, that interest from their side it isn't there. It's as if, and what I think it really comes down to is they just don't know how to ask follow-up questions, or how to, I guess, engage on that deeper level. I honestly don't know what to say. To me, it seems so fundamental to be interested in the other person in a conversation. But a lot of the time I'm talking with people, it's almost as if they're always just waiting to talk more about themselves. I guess all I can say is that if there's one thing I hope more people would do, it's just be curious about people. I feel that is like the thing that creates the best conversations, is when you're able to show curiosity and the other person is able to reciprocate that. There's a level of connection there that just, it can't be beat. Yeah, there's one thing I would say, is just be curious, ask people, ask them about their hobbies, ask them how they feel about certain things, ask them for their takes, and you'll create some of the best conversations if if you can find people that will reciprocate that energy. Good luck.